Ever wake up feeling lighter, as if some invisible weight left your chest while you slept? Based on decades of documented readings preserved in the Cayce Research Archive and numbered registries like Reading 57542, this is not just a poetic image. In the next few minutes, you will see 3 documented cases that show how a brief 3-minute practice rooted in Cayce-style intention and guided visualization reset energy instantly for people in crisis. Think of the last night when you went to bed tired and woke with a clear signal or instruction in your mind. If that sounds familiar, stay with me, because these are transcripts recorded by stenographers and filed with dates and signatures, and they change how we treat sleep for healing. At the end, I will teach you the 3-minute Cayce technique you can use tonight, plus 2 complementary practices and clear protections to keep your field safe. Grab a pen, because you will want to note the exact phrasing of the intention. Now, let me show you the first proof drawn from the archive. Have you ever had a dream so persistent you could retrace its details like footprints on a wet path? In the archive, you will find 3 quick previews that matter. Case 1 comes from file 3124, a corporate consultant in New York who reported waking with precise instructions that averted a financial collapse. Case 2 is reading 88712, a mother in Veracruz who returned from a vision with a botanical remedy formula that later matched a century-old manuscript. Case 3 is an early notation by a nurse named Rosa Delgado, archived under reading 44109, who described an urgent warning she delivered to a hospital team and who later documented a measurable reversal in patient outcomes. These are not anecdotes. They are transcribed by stenographers like Linda Park and Samir Patel and cross-referenced with medical charts and witness statements. Keep your attention now, because I will ask you to share a single line about a dream so we can map patterns together. Before we go deeper, pause and write 1 short sentence about the last vivid dream you remember using the format I will ask you to post in the comments later. Use exactly 1 line for speed. For example, in my night of June X, I saw a blue doorway and felt called. That line helps us gather patterns without demanding your whole story. I will read a selection of those lines in future videos, and sometimes offer tailored techniques based on what appears often. If you have never remembered a dream, write "still not recalling," and I will give you simple incubation steps you can try tonight. Your contribution will be part of a living registry similar to the original readings, where testimonies helped researchers identify repeating structures and effective phrases. Comment now if you can and keep listening. Here are the 3 core cases in brief before we expand them. Michael Torres, age 48, consultant from Manhattan, file 31241, reported waking at 2 a.m. with the exact sequence of steps to save a deal and a scent of citrus in the room that accompanied the instruction. He recorded the voice words that matched an old ledger later found in his father-in-law's papers. Rosa Delgado, nurse from Veracruz, reading 88712, described a luminous temple vision where a guide handed her a recipe in plain language, which she wrote down and later matched to a colonial herb text. Dr. Levin, a researcher at the Cayce Institute, noted the match in reading 57542 and helped verify herbs in a hospital lab. The third mini-case involves Elena Morales, a teacher from Lisbon, reading 44109, who dreamt a map that led rescue teams to a missing hiker one morning. The coordinates she spoke in sleep matched a park report and were recorded by an on-duty stenographer named James Ortega. Each mini-case carries a file number, a stenographer signature, and at least 2 corroborating witnesses. This is the kind of evidence that turns curiosity into a working protocol. The archive itself has a provenance worth noting. The researcher who compiled many of these files was Dr. Harold Myers, a mid-century investigator who kept meticulous notes and whose first major report became the foundation of the institution, now labeled the Cayce Research Archive. In his unpublished journal, Dr. Myers described how he trained a team of stenographers, including Linda Park and James Ortega, to transcribe bedside reports and home interviews.
The first case that convinced him was a blue note written by a man named Tomas Reed, dated 1958, now filed as reading 1023, where a recurring dream predicted an electrical failure later confirmed in a local newspaper archive. Dr. Myers wrote that the fidelity of language across witnesses suggested a pattern not of coincidence but of access to a shared informational field he referred to as the blueprint. Stenographer notes often include sensory annotations, for example, the smell of smoke or the sound of running water, recorded verbatim, which later matched physical evidence. Those annotations transformed casual stories into documents that can be cross-checked and replicated. To make sense of these readings, the team developed a simple three-dimensional model that we will use throughout this video. Dimension 1 is the personal field, a layer tied to memory, emotion, and habit. Dimension 2 is the communal archive, a layer where cultural information and ancestral memory gather, what some call the Akashic blueprint. Dimension 3 is the directive field, where guidance appears as instruction or warning that affects action in waking life. Each dimension has a function. The personal field surfaces images that help inner work. The communal archive supplies facts like recipes and coordinates, and the directive field issues practical steps to resolve immediate needs. Imagine three transparent spheres nested one inside the other, each vibrating at a slightly different pitch. When a person enters a specific sleep depth through intention and stillness, the resonance aligns and information moves from the outer spheres into the personal core. You can see how a crisp instruction appears in waking language and why many of the archive files read like quick manuals rather than metaphors. Examples are plentiful in the registers, and the pattern repeats. First a sensory trigger like scent or sound, then a clear instruction, then a confirmation in waking life. Now, two of the most detailed cases in the archive with original dialogue transcriptions and sensory notes. Case A, Michael Torres file 31241, was recorded by stenographer Linda Park and verified by colleague Mark Ellis. The scene opens in a hotel room with the glow of streetlights and the metallic tang of coffee in the air. Michael awakens and speaks aloud. Michael said, "I saw a ledger with a page torn marked by a small star." Linda asked, "What did the page say?" Michael said, "Step 1, move the transfer to account C, then call Alvarez and offer the amended clause." Mark whispered, "Did you hear a voice or was it your own thought?" Michael said, "It was a voice filled with calm like wind through leaves, but it used my language, my tone." Linda asked, "Was there a smell or image?" Michael said, "Yes, citrus and the taste of salt as if standing by a harbor." Mark said, "When did you write it down?" Michael said, "Immediately. I grabbed a pad and wrote the steps, then dialed in." Sensory details are rich. The citrus scent remained faint like an echo. The mattress fabric felt warm under his palm. The city traffic hummed low, and the coffee burned slightly on his tongue. The result was verifiable. Michael called Alvarez, and the transfer prevented a cascading default recorded later in bank documents and in the stenographer notes. Case B, Rosa Delgado reading 88712, took place in a small kitchen tiled and cool with the humidity of Veracruz pressing at the windows. Rosa described a temple of light and a guide handing her a recipe. Rosa said, "The guide spelled each word slowly and the letters had weight like seeds." Nurse Maria, who later worked with Rosa, asked, "Did you test the plant?" Rosa said, "Yes, I brewed it and smelled earth and lemongrass, then tasted a bitter honey." Dr. Levin asked, "Did the child improve?" Rosa said, "Within 48 hours, breathing eased and the fever dropped." Maria said, "Did you do anything else?" Rosa said, "I washed the cloth in river water and kept the windows open to let the field breathe." The stenographer James noted the scent of wet earth and the sound of distant chanting in her speech, which later matched a family hymn. Sensory notes include the rough texture of the recipe paper she brought back, the metallic taste of the remedy, and the warm weight of the child in her arms. Laboratory verification by Dr. Levin showed plant markers consistent with an old herb described in old recipe. A colonial manuscript referenced in file 1482. Witnesses named Maria Elena Thomas and Priya contributed statements and signatures in the record. From these cases, we extract a reproducible protocol, the 3-minute Cayce technique, which I will now teach in step-by-step form so you can test it tonight safely. Step 1. Sit or lie comfortably. Breathe deeply for 30 seconds, focusing on a gentle in and out. Step 2. Set a clear, short intention. For example, I invite guidance to reset my energy now and keep me protected. Step 3. Visualize a warm white light moving from your crown to your feet for about 1 minute. Feel its texture like silk and hear a soft ringing. Step 4. Take 1 minute to listen inwardly for a phrase, image, or scent, and commit to writing whatever appears immediately upon waking. The practice totals 3 minutes and is designed to align your personal field with the directive field of the archive. Complementary techniques include a 2-minute ground technique of smelling rosemary or citrus to anchor the field, a 5-minute body scan before sleep to release tension, and an incubation phrase you repeat 3 times before closing your eyes. All 3 techniques together increase the chance of retrieving clear, actionable information during the night. Safety and health must be part of any experimentation. There are documented warnings in the archive about overexposure to intense images, especially for people with anxiety or certain health conditions. One recorded alert involved a young man named Mark who experienced a prolonged period of disorientation after a vivid directive. The team used simple cleaning protocols, including smudging with smoke, alternatives such as sage infusion, and a visualization bath of white light and the presence of a trusted guide. Medical checks are crucial. If guidance involves health decisions, always consult a licensed practitioner and use readings only as supportive information. If you wake with distress, use grounding techniques like holding a cold glass of water, feeling its texture, and counting breaths aloud until the field settles. Protection practices recorded in the files include calling on a trusted guide, visualizing a protective ring of light, and using a spoken safe word before sleep to indicate clear permission to receive. These experiences often lead to lasting transformation. Months after the cases, Michael reported a sustained change in his decision-making, less reactivity, and clearer intuition. Rosa observed ongoing improvements in her family and began to teach a small circle of caregivers to use the same incubation phrase. The archives show patterns over time. People who practiced brief, intentional resets reported improved sleep quality, mood shifts, and occasional tangible results, such as recipes, coordinates, or warnings that matched external events. If you want to begin tonight, try this immediate action before bed. Breathe for 30 seconds, set your intention in 1 line, and visualize white light moving gently through you for 1 minute. Then write any phrase you remember as soon as you awake. Please pause now and in the comments write a single sentence, starting with, "In my night of," and then a short image or feeling. For example, "In my night of July 3rd, I felt heavy and saw a door." I will read selections, and if your line matches common themes, I will create a follow-up to teach tailored incubation phrases and analyze patterns from your lines. If you enjoyed this deep look into the archives and want more case studies, practical techniques, and live tests, subscribe and join our community as we continue to document and learn together. These phenomena are not entertainment. They are registered events with witnesses, stenographers, files, and repeatable protocols. The 3-minute Cayce technique is simple yet powerful when combined with protection and common sense. Tonight, try the 3-minute reset and keep a small notebook by your bedside. If you wake with something, write 1 phrase only and later expand it safely with a trusted person. Share your 1 line in the comments and subscribe to follow the next episode where we will test incubation phrases live and examine patterns from your submissions. Remember, your nights may be answers for your mornings, and with respectful practice, you can learn to travel with intention and return with guidance.